Salut French students, bienvenue au vidéo 6 du chapitre 5. So the main focus, or two main focuses of this video, will look very quickly at two topics. One is le verbe faire, and the other one is talking about the word rien, which is like a kind of a negative word. And so the verb faire, you might remember from our previous video where we talked about le temps et les projets. Okay, so let's backtrack just a little bit to look at this topic, le temps. Okay, and you have already seen this video. This is in video 5, video 5. And in that video, I asked different questions like, quel temps fait-il aujourd'hui? And the responses all contain this expression, il fait. Il fait froid, il fait frais, il fait du soleil. So all of them use this verb faire, which means to make or to do. So with weather, as I reminded you in video 5, we're kind of saying literally that the weather makes something. It makes sun, it makes cold, or it makes sunshine. But the verb faire is used for lots of other kinds of things too. So let's go back and we'll fast forward back to our slide with le verbe faire. And it's to say to make or to do, as I just mentioned, and it is an irregular verb. Okay, we have all sorts of irregular verbs in English too. We just don't realize that they're irregular because we use them all the time. Like the verb to go. In the past, it's definitely irregular. I went instead of goed. We don't just add an ed to it. Or even in the present tense, I can say, or past tense also, I can say I bring, but I brought. Okay, so that's an irregular form that we use in English too. And so the irregular verb faire is conjugated in the following way as you see in this chart. So it would be je fais, hey, I do, tu fais, you do, il, elle, on fait, which would be he, she, or one or we. It can mean both of those things for on fait. Nous faisons. Okay, so the AI combination sounds a little bit different than you might expect. Nous faisons. The same thing with the vous form. It's not vous faites, but vous faites. It sounds like the eh in bed. Vous faites. And then finally, the third person plural form would be ils font or elles font. And in the passé composé, you're going to use avoir with this verb. And you conjugate avoir to go with je, j'ai, and then you add the past participle, which is going to be fait. Okay, so I can ask a question with this. Qu'est-ce que tu fais ce soir? And you could say, je reste à la maison, je fais mes devoirs, je parle avec mes amis, j'étudie le français, je fais une promenade. There are all kinds of things you could say to answer that question. So I'm going to ask you that and give you a chance to give an answer to that question. So, qu'est-ce que tu fais ce soir? Okay, we can also use this to talk about what other people do. So, qu'est-ce que papa fait dans la cuisine? So, what is dad doing in the kitchen? Okay, il fait des sandwichs. So he's making sandwiches. I think it's also fair to say that you could use this verb. Il prépare des sandwichs. So he's preparing sandwiches. I think you could use either verb in that case. Okay, so it's a pretty basic verb. It's very foundational. It's one that you need to talk about many, many activities in French, just like we would use make or do in the same kinds of ways in English. So it's one that you definitely need to commit to your memory now and be prepared to use it a lot as you study French at a more advanced level. The other expression that I wanted to make sure that we talked about in this video is the expression ne rien. And it kind of might remind you of ne pas, right? When you take a verb in French and make it negative. So if I say je parle, I can make it negative by saying je ne parle pas. Okay, I can do something similar with ne rien, except now this is the meaning of ne and rien is nothing or not anything. Okay, so just to take a look at some example sentences here. you could say rien n'est prêt. So nothing, basically rien ne in front of the verb être here means nothing. Nothing is ready. And you have to have the ne to negate the verb in that case. Rien n'est prêt. Rien is kind of like the subject of your sentence. Okay, you can also use it to surround a conjugated verb. So, je n'achète rien. Okay, meaning I do not buy anything, or I'm not buying anything. If you said je n'achète pas, you could say that, but it would mean that I don't buy. Like in general, that's just not an activity that I do. I just don't buy things. But this specifically means I don't buy anything. Je n'achète rien. I could put other verbs in here instead of achète. I could say je ne fais rien. So going back to le verbe faire, I can conjugate that. Je fais, I do or I make, but now I can say je ne fais rien. So I don't do anything. Okay, I can say je n'ai besoin de rien. So et is the conjugated form of avoir here, but avoir besoin de, as you learned about in chapitre 4, is one of those avoir expressions that means to need something. J'ai besoin de quelque chose. I need something. But if I want to make it negative, I could say je n'ai besoin de rien. I don't need anything. I couldn't really say je n'ai besoin de pas in that case. It wouldn't make grammatical sense because it would be like saying I don't need not or something. The fact that avoir besoin de has this de on the end means that there has to be some kind of object or thing that follows it. And that thing would be anything in this case. Okay, if you are using ne pas or ne rien with a sentence with a different type of structure. So let's say you have a conjugated verb like je préfère and an infinitive, sortir. If I don't have ne pas in here, I'm just gonna cross it through for a second. Let's see. There we go. So let's pretend it's not there. Je préfère sortir ce soir. So I prefer to go out. The infinitive, remember, is the equivalent of to something in English. So in this case, to go out. Je préfère sortir ce soir. But now if I add ne pas to that sentence, je préfère ne pas sortir ce soir. So it means I prefer to not go out this evening. So I'm putting it right before the infinitive sortir to give that kind of meaning to the sentence. I can also use ne rien. So again, if I were to cross out this expression, pretend it's not there for a minute. Je voudrais faire demain soir. Well, actually, this one doesn't make any sense because we need to have a thing in there, but I'll tell you why. Okay, je voudrais faire demain soir literally means I would like to do tomorrow evening, but you need a something, right? So if this sentence were in the affirmative, it's not a negative meaning sentence, I could say je voudrais faire des sports demain soir. So I want to do some sports or do some exercise tomorrow evening. So I have something in there. But if I don't want to do anything, I'm going to have to take that out, right? Because I just want to be lazy. I don't want to do anything at all. Okay, and in that case, I'm going to have to add this back in. And I would say, je voudrais ne rien faire demain soir. So that means I would like to do nothing tomorrow evening. The word order is a little bit different in English. In French, it's like, I would like to nothing do tomorrow. Or even in the top sentence, I prefer to not go out. That's more like English word order. But basically, rien is taking the place of the thing that would go after faire if you were saying what you were going to do. Or je voudrais cuisiner demain soir. I would like to cook tomorrow. But if I don't want to do that, I have to take that out, right? And then I have to replace it with nothing. Okay, so I would not like to do anything in this case tomorrow evening. Okay, so that's just a quick tutorial on the verb faire, this expression ne rien, and how you can use it in different sentences to explain or express how you don't want to do anything. And we all have days like that when you just feel like being a little lazy, and these would be really good sentences to help you express that. Okay, so that's it for video 6, and I will see you in video 7. À la prochaine!